Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Blue Hat Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at my Position 5 Jakiro gameplay, where I immediately feed First Blood. Alright, in this game, we're going to be talking about probably the best support of the patch, or at least, in my opinion, the most reliable support of the patch. There's a few other good ones. I would say AA has very high win rate. Heroes like Warlock are very good. I think Oracle is very good. Mirana is very good. There's a lot of definitely strong pos 5s in this patch, for sure. But I think Jakiro might be the most well-rounded and definitely a great hero to main if you're looking for a strong pos 5. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. So honestly, at level 1, guys, the main buff that they gave this hero is now you get to choose between Liquid Fire and Dual Breath. Now, a lot of players still take Dual Breath, and I don't mind taking it this game. I actually primarily took it because we were trying to get First Blood. However, in 9 out of 10 games, I heavily prefer taking Liquid Fire because, honestly, the Q has some problems. It costs just too much mana. The ability does 100 damage, it does movement speed slow for 25%, which is the big upside, but it costs 125 mana. On top of that, the cast range feels kind of wonky. It's not bad, but the big thing to me is that the E is 100 damage. This is the same damage as the Q, and it doesn't cost any mana. It is a longer cooldown, but to me, it's better because it's actually more attack speed slow, and it's casual. I don't have to expend the majority of my mana pool to use it at level 1. On top of that, you want to use Dual Breath with Liquid Fire. So honestly, my main game plan in 9 out of 10 games is to use Liquid Fire at level 1. It's more damage than Liquid Frost, and so basically I spam it and I get to reserve all of my mana for level 2, which is incredibly powerful. Again, I don't really mind having the Q that much. It helped us get some really good damage on the Tidehunter, as Slark against Tide is a pretty good matchup, but in general, I kind of just want to use my E to poke this Rubik. Unfortunately, because I have my Q, I don't really want to use the Q unless the Rubik commits to trading with me. Like right here, I probably could have used it a bit earlier. I ended up using it, get some decent damage, and so it's obviously a good trading spell, but it's not as good. Now here, I actually messed up. So when you place your sentry here, when you're dewarding, you should place your sentry on this hill, and if there's a ward here, you can see it from this high ground, or you can see it with this sentry. But the Rubik placed the sentry here, which I mean, I should know at this point, but I actually got caught off guard, and I went in and I didn't see it, which is kind of crazy. But either way, whatever, back to lane, and my main goal now is to just kind of sap level 2. We get a range creep deny. Pretty happy about that. Not going to contest the range creep. I wanted to unblock the pull. Unfortunately, again, I did not find it. And this actually hurts a lot, right? It actually hurts a lot. Eventually, I'm like, where the heck is this ward? Find it. But yeah, we're chilling. Our main goal, again, level 2 is really OP on this hero. As I go for another Q, just because I had a clarity going. In terms of items, I got to stick 2 branches, tangos, got a blood grenade coming out, and I want to ship another clarity when I get the chance. I don't think I need as many clarities or mangoes as I typically like to buy on this hero, as I really like to buy regen. My goal is to stomp the lane and get kills. I want to just get XP. I don't care what my net worth is. I can be bottom net worth. I don't care. As long as my carry is having a great game and I have high levels, my net worth to me comes secondary. So now that you're level 2, what you do is you start to use Liquid Frost. Liquid Frost is an ability that amps the damage of your auto attacks and your other spells. This is your main mid-game ability as it amps Macro Pyre and Dual Breath, but also in the laning stage, once you hit level 2, you're going to use it in combination with Dual Breath to get maximum harass. If I'm not going to use Dual Breath, I will use Liquid Fire. If I am going to use Dual Breath, I will use Liquid Frost. And the best part about Jakiro is you basically get to cast 2 spells while giving only 1 magic stick charge. This doesn't seem like a big deal, but in high MMR, people really care about this type of thing, right? Sticks are pretty broken. Obviously in this lane, it's a really bad stick lane for the enemy, which is kind of funny because, Jakiro casts a lot of spells, but these just don't count. And as a result, I can get 2 spells out while only giving 1 stick charge. And that's another reason Jakiro is a broken laner. So I unblock the pull. This is something you want to do every game as Jakiro because you win the one-on-one against most supports really, really hard. Plus you insta-kill sentries due to the fact that you double hit. And so we're able to get some nice last hits on the small camp. I really do put a priority on getting the last hits. I get all 3. That gives me 60 gold, which is a lot of gold. Do not underestimate, guys, if you're a support player, the importance of actually focusing on those CS and the denies of the camp. They matter a lot. So yeah, hit level 2. Looking to put my Frost. The enemy lane is really, really good players, right? The top 76, top 100 in Europe. This is like 15k MMR. And so they're not stepping out of position a lot. As a result, you're going to notice I'm not casting my spells as much as you might. See, if I was in like an 8k average MMR game, I'd probably be out of mana by now because the Rubik would be stepping up too far, right? Tidehunter, it's not really worth casting my spells on him. I don't know when he's going to dispel. But yeah, again, when the Rubik eventually steps up, I will drop my spells, get a little chip, and then back off. I'm not looking to overcommit too hard in. I could die from a lift into a gush if he has that skilled. Okay, he doesn't, right? So I'm probably not going to That's probably something I should be keeping track of more. But yeah, again, E and Q onto the Rubik. Now, here's something interesting about the skill build. There's a lot of different opinions on the skill build. This is my favorite. The reason why is it makes Liquid Frost and Dual Breath the same cooldown, 10 seconds. That's awesome. On top of that, one application of Liquid Frost with Dual Breath, with 2 points in Liquid Frost, is higher damage than 2 points of Dual Breath. Interesting. The only downside is that if you hit a multi-man Dual Breath like I did here, it is less damage, as Liquid Frost is not AoE. It will not hit multiple targets. And as a result, if you're trying to harass 2 people at the same time, 2 points in Dual Breath is better, and you should keep that in mind. But yeah, we go for another pull. Again, the name of the game for me is just kind of pulling, give my boy Slark a tango, just kind of get the XP from this pull camp. We chillin'. I buy a Windlace. I like buying Windlace when I feel like my game is pretty good and I can put a lot of pressure. And in this game, at this point, I can't really contest this tide. I call that the Rubik is going mid, but I called it late, so my NP ends up dying to him. I felt a little bit bad about that one. And I hit the gate. The reason why is I check bottom and I see pretty low HP heroes. Now, it's not my favorite gate because my team is very low, so we probably can't dive, and I understood that. Plus, the lane is so far up that it's hard to put pressure, but I felt that there's less pressure against Tide than there is to even just cast very casual spells on this Tiny. You know, like, this is annoying for this guy. It's not going to kill him, but I just want to get him low enough where if we decide to dive, he's going to be, well, in kill range, and I look for it in the Mirana. Again, just kind of Liquid Frost into my Q, and we're continuing to poke. Unfortunately, my Darkseer decided to walk into the tower a little bit too early, and he ends up going down. But whatever, we get a nice kill into the Tiny, and I think it ends up transitioning into a bit more here as the Mirana oversteps. Again, Liquid Frost, basically only using Liquid Frost at this point of the game in combination with my Q, and that's why I love the second point, right? In these team fights, I'm able to synergize them very, very frequently as we kind of clean up the enemy team. So feeling good at this point in terms of items. I bought a Raindrops, I bought a Clarity. Need a lot of mana on Jakiro, especially now at level 4. I'm going to take my Ice Path, and I'm going to work into Mana Boots now. Some people go Tranquils, and that's fine, especially if you're against like Zeus or some Bounty Hunter spamming Shurikens at you, you know, stuff like this. It can be great to buy Tranquils for team fights, but in this game, I opted to go for Mana Boots as I thought my game was good enough. In this fight here, again, pretty straightforward execution. Liquid Frost, Dual Breath, Ice Path, you know, pretty hard to hit. And now with this facet, if you guys don't know the new Icebreaker facet, it's really overpowered. Really, really good. It gives damage to Ice Path, which is insane because this ability is an incredible AoE stun with very low cooldown. The only drawback is if you max it, you don't get damage. But now you get damage, right? 225, so you can wave clear and kill people with max Ice Path. As you have to activate the second go, so the first stun is just a stun and a bit of damage, 50 damage, and then you have to activate it, so you chain stun them, which I do there. I get the bonus damage, and we're able to take out the Mirana as she expended both leaps. Now at this point, we can test the rune, get a nice little regen for our boy. Feeling good, making some really nice moves this game. Just kind of right place, right time. And I mess up here. It's funny, I say that, and then I walk into the river. I guess that should probably tell me that they have a ward, right? Yeah, if both supports walk in a straight line at me and kill me, I should probably assume they have a right side ward. I didn't in the game, but in hindsight, I should be assuming that. It's pretty obvious. There's no way they're just that good. I mean, not no way, but low chance. Now, in this fight, I actually get a lot of value here. Hit a decent Ice Path. Go for the Liquid Frost into the 2-man Dual Breath, getting a lot of damage, drop a 2-man Blood Grenade. Really chipping these guys out. My Furion probably placed an overly defensive TP there, but whatever, it's fine. We get a nice Mirana kill, and we're just continuing to kite around our cooldowns. We get a nice little D ward, place a little deep ward, and at this point, now I'm looking at my level, and I'm like, I want to get my level 6. Jakiro level 6 is just incredible, right? This ability is just so much damage. It's 100 damage per second, and in combination with the Liquid Frost, it's 118 damage. I actually think it's more. I don't know exactly how the ticks work on Liquid Frost, but it's a lot. So I make a solo smoke play here, which might seem insane, but I don't know. In hindsight, I really liked it. It was risky in the game because I don't like popping solo smokes, but this Ember is pretty hard to kill for us. We don't have the best stuns, and so I really thought I need to come from smoke and kind of catch him, and that ends up happening here. We get the chain. I messed up the chain stun. It almost costed us the kill. It actually is really bad that I messed that up. I want to show you guys what I'm talking about if you're new to Jakiro. So when I drop the Ice Path, it hits him, and then I have to ulti and then click W at like the same time. You can do that, and then it will like do this break pattern. But I clicked it as it was ending, which was really cringe, and it misses him. I guess you can't, like, you have to actually hit them with it. If they dodge it, they dodge it. I didn't even realize that in the moment, to be perfectly honest, but that's how it works. So should have just procced it early. It's 125 damage, is a lot, but we end up picking up the Ember kill anyway. He didn't have a defensive remnant, which is probably just kind of low skill on his part. But yeah, we get a really big Ember kill. I mean, this Ember kill is huge for the game. Just creates a lot of pressure on mid. We get some nice damage on Mirana here. Turns out she didn't have 2 leaps, so we get a nice little Mirana kill. And we're continuing to poke with our spells. And yeah, you can see look at my positioning. Very cautious on the outside, just waiting for cooldowns. Ice Path coming back up, still waiting on the outside, just looking for a good opportunity to line up a nice Ice Path. We get a decent one here, but unfortunately, the fight was over and they killed us. So at this point of the game, things got a little bit weird. The enemy got a pick off on our Slark. We did get their bottom tower, which was nice. Another benefit to Jakiro, you get 2 points in liquid fire with this build, so you take towers reasonably efficiently. I decided to stack Ancients here. I just felt there wasn't too much to do. We didn't have really major timings. Our mid is a Nature's Prophet. He's not that strong at this point of the game. He's quite weak compared to like an Ember Spirit, right? This guy is just way more powerful. So I didn't want to force any move. The main thing we should be thinking about here is the Tormentor. I will admit, I completely forgot about it in this game, which really hurt us. I don't know if we would have wanted to fight it anyway. It's actually quite hard. They have an Ember, a Tiny Carry who's very strong, very high damage nukes from their sups. We have a good sups. We have a Darkseer, but I would say Slark isn't the best in teamfights. Slark wants to play an open map. He wants to go for pickoffs with his Diffusal Blade, and they have it tied, right? I mean, it's going to be really hard to fight into them. So instead, we decided to sack it, which in hindsight probably was okay. I think in some games, it's really bad to make this decision, but in this game, yeah, I think it was all right? We're able to kind of split up the map. They get a shard on the Rubik, which pretty fortunate. I think it's, I mean, it's not bad. It just allows you to like toss allies. So they don't have the best shards. Mirana's shard is not bad. It lets her crit and gives her a leap. So really mainly just gives her a leap, but get some damage on the Ember here. And I actually think I almost killed him. Did I mess up this execution again? I don't think I did. Ice Path, ulti, W, E. No, I did it right. It's just hard, like, you know, it's not exactly a long enough stun to cast 3 different spells. So, but I mean, what did he die to? The Furion? Oh, he was tracked, so he just got hit by Furion ult, I assume. Oh, no, Furion TP'd on him. Yeah, and this set up for a big play, right? We kind of find this angle on the Ember. We deal 1 billion damage to him. Our MP is able to clean him up, which I didn't know would happen, but still. And these prolonged fights for Jakiro are just OP. I realized it's not really important to Ice Path the Tide. He's not going to die. I'd rather just Ice Path this Tiny, which ends up being a great decision as it lets my MP kind of get onto him. It stops the initiation that he was trying to find onto our Darkseer and our low HP Bounty Hunter. And we're able to put a Liquid Frost again, prioritizing Liquid Frost with the Dual Breath, dealing a lot of damage. And this is the turning point in the game. We get a massive net worth swing. And I would say it's even bigger because, again, the Rubik Shard, as much as I'm a fan of the Tormentor, some games, if you don't have the best shards, it's not as valuable, right? It's still valuable. It's 1,250 gold at worst, because it's 250 gold per ally, but still, it's a Rubik Shard. He's not really going to carry the game with this. I don't think saving anyone is that useful right now. And so I would say our net worth lead is quite a bit bigger than 1k. It's a bit fake. And I decided to go drums this game. We have quite a bit of few right clickers. I have a Slark and an NP, so buffing up their right click is quite nice. Oh, look at this combo. I think it might have actually baited my Slark a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It looks so juicy though. Oh, the damage. How did the second one not hit the Mirana? The Rubik burns out. We cook him up. Yeah, I guess I kind of baited my Slark. I think, oh no, he lives. Never mind. We cooking. Maybe my Darkseer got baited. Who knows? I sort of died at the end here. I got a nice Ice Path before dying. And that's kind of the name of the game with this hero. This Ice Path ability is just broken. Like, okay, yeah, this fight was okay. I mean, we get some track kills. They clean up the Tiny here in a moment. So, not bad. Not bad. My Furion is starting to come online as well, and that's probably the big thing. Like, they have an Ember. It's not that Ember falls off, per se, but Furion comes online, right? This is a hero that wants to hit this minute, like, 25 Shard plus BKB timing, or whatever he buys, like Hurricane Pike, you know? This is, like, the hero's real timing. Mjolnir is strong, but his mid-game is even stronger. So, yeah, I buy drums. As I said, I think our right-click is strong. So, if we have multiple right-clickers, I'll buy it. If we only have, like, one, I generally will just lean to something like Solar for defensive purposes, or Glimmer. Force Staff is good this game against Slight Chains and Arrow. Force Staff disrupts that completely. So that is certainly an option, as well as getting poked here. Drop my little combo onto the Ember. Probably wasn't too good. Did a little bit of damage. At this point, it seemed like we were maybe just a little bit too strong for the enemy as. Fishing for an Ice Path. Didn't want to have to use it on Tide. At this point, I just did to kind of buy time, keep myself alive. End up going down, but whatever. It costed him a Ravage to kill me. You know, obviously more than happy to eat the Ravage at this point in the game. It's quite good, and Slark's just going to town. So, yeah, we gave the Slark a good lane. Obviously, we're Jakiro. That's why I like picking Jakiro in pubs as well. The reality is picking heroes that can have very weak laning stages can cause the collapse of games. And I just don't like doing that. You know, what's a good example of a hero that might, like, just lose the lane? There's quite a few of them, you know, so you can see, like, the main heroes I'm playing right now are all pretty solid laners. The only one that I would say sometimes is kind of weak in my opinion is Phoenix. Zeus in some matchups is a little bad. Against, like, Muerta, I don't like playing Zeus, for instance. I just feel like you can die and you get outranged. But in general, like, a lot of the heroes that can sort of lose lane, like Winter Wyvern, sort of Lich, I don't love playing. I mean, he's obviously sort of out of the meta now. I'm much less of a fan of Lich, but Enchantress, I'm not a big fan of. I just feel that it's a bit too wonky, you know? The game can kind of go haywire. I prefer having these, like, just more reliable standard heroes, and I prefer that in Captain's mode as well, right? I just find these heroes to be easier to draft around in Captain's mode. I find them to be easier to draft around in pubs for your teammates. Like, if this guy has a weak laner, he's going to feel less inclined to pick a Slark that needs quite a bit of help in the laning stage, you know? So at this point, I max out my E, which I prefer. I just think that having the max Liquid Frost and this 4-second cooldown is kind of OP. It's like this constant slow. This is really incredible building damage, and the thing is, this attack speed slow works on towers and it works against Glyph. And so you can see it's really easy to take the tower when it just doesn't deal any damage. And when people Glyph and it's affected by Liquid Fire, sometimes the Glyph doesn't even kill the weight, and so you just get to keep pushing, which is really awesome in my opinion. On top of that, if your team gets the Shard, this Shard is really great. Your abilities no longer share a cooldown, and that's another reason I like to max it. If I get lucky and get the Shard from 15-minute Torm or 25-minute Torm, then my hero is just insane. It's way better than having Dual Breath maxed. So that's why I prefer it. I can see the logic of maxing Dual Breath second, potentially. Just, again, it's AoE. That's kind of the upside, right? Compared to Liquid Frost not being AoE. So perhaps I might think about changing my skill build at some point, but yeah, I even like buying the Shard. I considered buying a next item, because at that point you can auto cast both the spells. So if you right click on one of them, or both of them, and then you cast one, it casts both. And it's just huge damage, because the Liquid Frost amps the damage of the Liquid Fire, right? And then all of a sudden you're just putting 30% movement speed slow, 60 attack speed slow on people. And it also does like 300, 400 damage on like a 4-second cooldown. If they can't kill you, this hero just pumps damage. I mean, the mid game is insane. I'm going to buy an Aether Lens after my Glimmer. I like buying Glimmer just so I'm tanky. I can't really die. I don't want to die to some shitty Ember who's just walking me down. Glimmer just kind of stops that because you get 40 movement speed, that 300 barriers. Oh, what an ice path. Boom. Big friggin' ice path. And we're just kiting out. My main goal at this point of the game is just to hit good ice paths. Everything else is secondary. They're just weaker cast ranges, right? Ice Path is such a big cast range, so my main priority is good Macro Pyre, good Ice Path. The other abilities, if someone extends into me, sure, I'll walk up and cast my Dual Breath, I'll cast my E and my Liquid Frost, but I never will compromise my positioning for my Q and my E unless I feel that it is safe. The Q is also higher cast range than the E, which is, again, another reason why maybe it's better than the E, just because then you don't have to step in, and I can see that as another logic point. So I might change my mind, I might change my skill build, guys. I'm kind of thinking this one through. Maybe if you get the Shard at 15 and you get to, like, or you're still skilling your abilities, it's better than to kind of switch back. I can totally see the logic, but I definitely love the second point in the E. I don't think I would change that. I love the overlap. But yeah, that's going to be about all. In terms of talents and future items, just to cover it, at 15, no brainer, Ice Path cooldown. Liquid Fire attack speed slow is no joke. 110 attack speed slow on a 4-second cooldown, that's AoE. Let me tell you, that shit is not bad. If I didn't have this facet, I would consider it in some games. 110 attack speed slow, guys. That is 30 less attack speed than a Moon Shard, for reference. But yeah, Ice Path cooldown, come on. Ice Path stun duration, come on. I mean, these talents have so much synergy. At level 25, honestly, both of these are great. Max health, right? Dealing 10% of someone's max health is pretty great on a 4-second cooldown. Like, that is real damage. However, the cast range on Dual Breath, the damage and cast range is pretty great. Again, you just get to stay safe, and staying safe often is the name of the game for Jakiro, just so you can get off ice paths. So probably for positioning purposes, I would lean towards the right one, but they're both great. And yeah, in terms of items, I'm going to buy an Aether Lens next. I just think that Ice Path cast range is a little bad, honestly. It's a little clunky. All of his spells are kind of that, besides Macro Pyre. And so, yeah, I like having I like buying 2 small items and then Aether. You need 1 defensive item before Aether, in my opinion. Like, if I buy drums, I'm not going to buy an Aether because in my mind, how I see the game is I need to stay alive. I don't need to cook like some ags. I need to just exist and click W, right? That is my main objective. So I need an item that just lets me do that, and that's Glimmer or Force or like Solar. Mainly Glimmer and sort of Force. Glimmer to me is the best defensive item in the game for subs, always kind of has been, but it depends. Like this game, the Force is great against the Ember and the Mirana chain combo, but it's kind of hard for him to do that to me in teamfights, so yeah, it's probably just a Glimmer game. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.